G'day guys, g'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another GuitarWank Podcast. We're coming to you again in this amazing, incredible, crazy times. We hope you are well. This is, episode 218. I am your host, Troy MacCubbin. Thank you for wasting your time with us. Today we have part 2 with Josh Smith. The lovely, amazing man, Josh Smith. Great player, great guy. And me and Bruce Forman. Or Bruce Forman and I, to be correct. How you doing? Is shit just crazy or what? I can't believe we're going through this shit still. Wear a mask. Or stay at home. Yep, it's like that. It's starting to get a little Groundhog Day-ish, right? Feels like it. Anyway, we've got a good one with Josh. This is when was it? A couple of weeks ago, I think. Josh, Bruce, and I hung out, which was great. So yeah, you guys will enjoy this. And then we have a few more New York jazz cats coming up. Pete Bernstein and a few other cats. So that'll be fun. Also, we've got Jennifer Batten tomorrow night, which I'm super excited about. I've been wanting to get Jennifer on the show forever. So that's going to be fun with Scott and Bruce, to catch up with those guys again. It's funny, man. It's like we've been talking about doing like more guitar wanks, and it's a whole different thing doing guitar wank through Zoom. Yeah, we've noticed it. We've had talks about it, and it's just such a different dynamic than sitting here in the studio. Because as you guys know, the whole thing about Guitar Wank was getting together, sitting on the couch, maybe having a drink, and just shooting the shit about music, guitar, life, whatever comes up, you know. Except politics, which Bruce didn't want to go there. Scott does want to go there, but Bruce doesn't. But yeah, it's so different with the Zoom, because we're doing it through Zoom, obviously, with our guests, because obviously there's a delay, and getting jokes and that across, the timing fucks with you. It's so different, and we've kind of been trying to find our feet with this, but also just it's not as fun, I gotta tell you. I mean, it's fun when we're in doing it, but it was so much more fun when we got to hang out in the studio and we're going back and forth and shooting the shit. That was fun because everyone could relax a little bit more too, and you know, if they were having a drink or whatever, it was a hang, you know. You know what it's like, you go to the bar or you hang in with your mates, it's cool. But when you're doing it over Zoom, and then they're like, you know, they're worried what they look like, because I have been filming some of them, but to be honest, it's fucking boring just watching 4 guys sit there and shoot the shit. I mean, you don't want to watch it. I know, I kind of agree with Bruce and Scott on this. I don't feel like being a dancing puppet on video, and I don't think you guys really will benefit from that at all. Yeah, I think it's better just to do audio, and as you know, we just struggle with the audio part enough, right? So why add video to the problem? But yeah, so it's a weird, obviously it's weird times for all. I'm not complaining by any means, but it's just an adjustment. We thought, we'll do a ton of these Guitar Wank episodes, and man, the days just go so quick. I'm super busy. I know Bruce he's doing his Grumps TV. Bruce had to make a huge adjustment, as all musicians are, especially if you've been touring your whole life, like someone like Bruce has or Scott, and all of a sudden, you know, you've been told you can't go anywhere, you got to stay at home. So I know Bruce was going a little nuts there for a second, and he's, you know, put all his energy into doing his daily Instagram choruses. Well, check them out. Go to Bruce Forman Instagram at Bruce Forman, whatever the fuck it is. But yeah, go check it out, because he does these choruses every day. He does different choruses a tune. He just pulls it out of his ass and kills it. So check them out. He's got a bunch of them, and also he's got Grumps, obviously YouTube. I don't even know how many episodes he's up to now. Him and Pammy have been doing that just to keep, because he wants to create. Because people like Bruce just need to create. He needs an outlet, and if he can't tour, he's got to do something. So support that. Any musician, we're all trying to do our thing. I've been very blessed that my business is still going. Thank God I'm on the entertainment side of things, where people are still watching movies at home and they're still watching a lot of product, and our job is to obviously make the music for trailers and all that kind of stuff. So I feel super blessed that we've been able to continue to work. It did slow down a little bit, but then it kind of goes in waves and stuff. And I know I don't talk about what I do that much. It's not really about what I do. It's more about Bruce and Scott and them being amazing guitarists. But my company, Alloy Tracks, we do a lot of trailer music and movie, TV, film. It's something I started, 12, 15 years ago now, and it's grown into this amazing company that we're doing really, really well. I'm very blessed. But we just did looks like we've got the new Batman teaser trailer, which is amazing. It's a big one for us. We're working on all the big ones, Godzilla, Wonder Woman 2, and all these amazing things. But I feel very lucky that my company has been able to continue through this stuff, and I have some composers that we all work together and that I oversee, and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? I'm just being grateful, I guess, in these crazy times. And that's why I usually say my life hasn't changed too much, except for the kids are around all the time and you got to entertain them and schooling and all that kind of stuff at home. But I've been able to continue my work at home in my studio, which is, I feel so blessed, very lucky, and thankful in these crazy times, because it's nuts. And I don't even know when this shit's going to end or what the outcome of all this is, but at least you get to sit down with GuitarWank and listen to us bullshit for, what is it now, 45 minutes or whatever. So today, Josh Smith, we got, I think we have more of Pete Bernstein maybe, I think. I got to double check that. But we do have some others coming up, and I'm super excited about Jennifer Batten. That's going to be a great one too. So there you go. I've rambled on enough. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're doing okay. If you're going through, if you're dealing with any heavy shit, we send our heart to you guys, and we hope you guys get through it and your family's safe. You know what I mean? What do you say? Because some people are going through some massive heavy shit right now, and this is just a stupid podcast of us bullshitting about music. But hey, get your mind off the heavy shit of life and just makes you laugh for a second. I guess we're doing our job. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So with that, God, what a long way to get around to that, MacCubbin. Hey, all right, let's get into this episode. What is it? Episode, what did I say? 218. Wow, man, we're getting up there. We never did have a party for 200, did we? We never did 100 or 200. Yeah, anyway. We'll keep soldiering on. Bruce, I know Bruce is under the weather at the moment. I don't think he's got COVID. I think he's just got the cold, so I hope he's okay. Bruce, feel better. I know Scott's doing all right. And, we'll talk to you guys all soon. Be safe out there. Remember, Grumps YouTube channel, go check that out. It's a good laugh, and you get to see Bruce killing on guitar and doing all these great things as usual that he does. So you've got that, his Instagram with the morning choruses, our Patreon page. You can go there, you can get the GuitarWank Minute, the Bruce Forman 1 minute episode or tutorial, lesson, whatever you want to call it. Super cool, super direct, and you will walk away after 60 seconds with something to think about and put in your pocket full of tricks and learn for the next 30 years or whatever. So that's great. Go to our website. We have a new website. It's easier to find old episodes of the podcast. blah, blah, blah. Also, if you are a band or an artist and you want to promote your music to fellow guitar players, or you have a product that you want to promote to fellow guitar players, hit us up, send us an email. You can get us at guitarwank@gmail.com. Make sure you put it in the subject line what you are looking to do, because we get a lot of spam and it takes forever to go through that shit. So make it clear and obvious what you're trying to do. But we will promote and put your music on here, and we're trying to do more of that as well. So feel free to reach out about that and we can talk about that with you. But in the meantime, let's get into it. Here's Josh Smith and Mr. Bruce Forman. Be safe, guys. Be well, and we will talk to you all next episode. Thank you for listening. Fast forward. BS. All right, back into it. All right, guys, be safe. Later. I've got bedroom chops, you know, and that's so different to having stage chops and having your shit together to do a gig. I mean, it's so different.
Well, you said it right there. So the first 2 weeks of gigging in my life, I was 13, just turned 13, and a band asked me to play with them, this adult band, and I'd played with them at an open jam, and they saw, oh, let's have this kid play with us.
Yep.
Maybe we'll get better gigs a little bit. It's a novelty. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. I didn't care. So I was there. I go play. But within those first 2 weeks, all that years of practice, I had no idea that my amp was not high enough wattage to play a gig, that my guitar's intonation was shit, you know, that my time wasn't that great with other people because I'd done nothing but practice in my room. My intonation really didn't matter that much. I wasn't playing against anyone else. So if I was in tune with myself, it didn't matter, you know, and so you can't learn that. Those things you can't learn unless you get thrown to the wolves.
This right here is my perfect environment for me to sound the best I can be.
Yeah.
Just put me on stage, I'm going to be like a duck out of water because it's like I got to deal suddenly with all these other things that I'm not used to dealing with, and my sound sounds nothing like it does here. So it's like, shit.
I didn't know you had to change tubes for months. You know, when I got my first real amp, so I had a practice amp, and that first gig was like, wait a minute, you can't even hear me play. Okay, I have to do something. So then I traded it in. I was lucky, actually. I got a Silverface Pro Reverb, 70s, like Bruce's amps, but I didn't know that my practice amp had a distortion button. The Pro Reverb, of course, is a Pro Reverb. I didn't know the difference, so I took the Pro Reverb to the next gig, and I realized I had no gain and no sustain. It was like I'm playing a plinky guitar, I didn't have a good guitar yet, and I had nothing, no comfort zone, no blanket. And it was like, so then I had to realize, okay, I think I have to buy a pedal. And then a tube went out, and it was like, I didn't even know what those were that they were in there. You know what I mean? It was, you don't learn, that was on-the-job training.
You remember those days pretty well, Josh?
I remember, I remember all that stuff very well because I was, whatever, it's my personality, but I was obsessed, and I was loving every minute, but also I was obsessed with soaking it in and trying to get better like every day. Like, so all those failures, if I would play a wrong chord on the gig and the guy would give me a stink eye, or if I would step on his vocal or somebody else's solo and they would tell me, what the fuck are you doing, kid? I would never make that mistake again because that motivated me like no end. Like I wanted to come back the next week and show them, I'm listening, guys. I got it, Hey,
there's something I got to ask you. I saw a little while ago. You got to get up and play with Eric Johnson.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just like, awesome. That's so fantastic. How was that, mate, to step on stage with Eric?
So special.
That,
talk about a guy who's been important to me since I was a child.
Yeah.
I had his pictures on my wall and had all the records. I remember clear as day walking home from middle school with my Walkman on, listening to Avia Musicom over and over for weeks on end, every day of school, there and back.
Yeah.
And I first met Eric when I was 15, I think, in Des Moines, Iowa. I was on my first tour ever. It was summer break, and we had booked a tour across the country. My dad, drove with me and these 3 adults and my father, we drove across the country. Anyways, we had an off night in Des Moines, Iowa. We had played the night before, but the club had a good deal at the hotel, so we stayed in Des Moines the next night because it was cheap. So we stayed at that hotel, and a bus pulled up the next morning on my off day, and Eric Johnson walks off the bus while I'm in the lobby of the hotel. So I'm like, oh my God, that's Eric Johnson, And this is, 1993, so he's huge at this time. Avia Musicom, Venus Isle isn't even out yet, you know what I mean? And so I get up the nerve to go say, hello, I'm a young guitar player. And that was it, blah, blah, blah. He was busy, So anyways, fast forward 2 hours later, we'd been on the road for a couple weeks, so it's laundry time. So my dad and I go to the laundry room in the hotel, open the door, and he's in there doing his laundry. So like, okay, so now he strikes up a real conversation with us. And so then he invites us to the show that night. They're playing in Des Moines.
Wow.
They were getting ready to go to sound check, and then they were going to play that night. So he gave us passes, and we came, and it was a special night for me. Watched sound check, watched the show, hung out. I gave him my CD that I had at the time, my little kid CD, and left, and that was a special night. Fast forward maybe 2 weeks at the most. And we're still on the road because I booked this. Well, I hadn't booked, but someone had booked this whole summer for us, and we were touring the country. And my mom's back home with my sister, so we call, of course, home every day to speak to my mom and my sister. And she says, "You got a letter in the mail, and it says it's from Eric Johnson on the return envelope." I said, "What?" She said, "You want me to open it?" I said, "Yeah." So he got my address off the CD because it was our home address on there, and it just said, "Josh, it was a pleasure to meet you a couple weeks ago in Des Moines. I listened to your CD. You have such a bright future ahead of you, and you're such a kind young man. All the best. Hope to see you again soon, Eric Johnson."
Wow.
And I have it framed still. Like I've never lost it, and I never let him forget that. But I know he's probably done that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is. But that, I probably would have never given up anyways because this is my life. But some kids, that might have been the thing that kept them going and kept them a professional guitar player for life, to have a moment like that happen, So I tell them all the time how much that meant. So, yeah, this year at NAMM, I'm down there and he played the Grove in Anaheim. And we went to the show and he goes, "What are you doing tomorrow? You want to come sit in L.A.?" And I had a gig that night. And I said, "I can't, man. Are you kidding me?" My head was going to explode. I was like, this can't be happening. You just finally asked me to sit in, and I can't do it tomorrow night.
Oh.
And he said, so I said, "Where are you the next night?" And he goes, "San Diego." And he said, "I don't care. I'm coming." And he said, "Okay, fine." So I drove me and my friend James Santiago from Universal.
Yeah,
Audio.
James, yep.
We drove together, and it was a very special day. Spent the whole day nerding out, sound checking gear, being total nerds. And then I got to play 2 songs, including Zap, with Eric Johnson. It was like, wow, it doesn't get much better than that.
Wow, man, that must have been a hell of a moment. I watched it and I kind of had that. I was living through you, obviously, and it was really cool to watch you do that, man.
It's I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the same when I met Bruce. That was kind of the same thing. It was one of my heroes as a kid. I'd listened to a lot of his stuff, and then to meet him and become friends, it's really cool. But, Eric's a really cool guy. Bruce is an asshole, and, what can you do?
By that, honestly.
Eric just seems like such a sweetheart of a guy, man. What a cool soul that guy is.
He's exactly who you think he is from the outside.
And
genuine and warm, and he's that obsessed with guitar and the tone, and he's all those things that you've heard and think he is. He is that guy.
Yeah.
He's special. Yeah.
And God, what a player, man. I'm just in awe of that guy.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So yeah, that was a special moment. Definitely.
You probably stopped yourself there for a second and caught yourself and thought, "Is this really happening after all these years?"
Well, it was unbelievable. And there was a moment where he played a lick, and it was one I knew pretty well. So I threw it right back at him, and he went, "Yeah!" And I said, "Oh shit, this was amazing!" Yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Damn. So what are you doing, Bruce? You making paper airplanes or something? What's going on?
I'm writing this down. Eric Johnson. No, I had some Eric Johnson experiences too. I opened up for him a couple of times.
Oh, you did?
I saw James said he saw you open for him up in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's a cool cat. So what do you guys got going on for the next? Well, it's so hard to plan anything, but
oh yeah, man.
What do you got planned?
Oh, I've got ants. I got to let them out, man.
You got any new music coming out? You've been writing?
Coming out. I don't know if I don't know. I got the Apollo, and I'm starting to learn how to get a sound. You know what I mean? I'll probably do a solo thing. I've been I was already going in the solo direction with my Red Guitar Show.
Yeah.
So, obviously having the Apollo and having like James hook me up with the Luna interface, which is like Pro Tools, the universal audio version of that. And probably, I guess, a solo project just makes sense right now, being just the way the world is. I mean, I kind of have moved back into my house in Carmel Valley because being in LA right now with no clubs and no restaurants, I mean, it's like, and school is online. It's like cities kind of lost their luster for a second here. I mean, I'm sure that will change soon. But for right now, you know, maybe a solo record, you know, learn to get a real sound out of this thing and lay some. I'm really loving just playing the guitar, you know, and being the orchestra myself. Yeah. I've always been kind of a pianistic guy. Oh, yeah. So, you know, I've got a whole lot of stuff going on that way. The storytelling, my TV show, Grumps TV, which is on my, you know, I'm real proud of that with my wife. We've got kind of a whole, like, in a way, it's sort of, if you ask me, it's encapsulating what we're going through right now.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's super.
You know, like here we are, we're stuck, we're alone. She's a great talent. I'm the band and the guy who's going to rope it all together, the band leader, and we're going to just do it together. And got some friends who will play along I put them on the iPad and I play with them. And it's just sort of some zany, sort of whacked out home theater. And really, for right now, that's what we got.
Yeah.
And I mean, as in my opinion, as you can call it artists or as improvising musicians or as current whatever people, our job is to take what they throw at us and make something out of it and to shine the light on not only where we are, but where we need to go. So I'm taking the challenge, you know, and also I have these students at school. And I'm telling them, like, you can't let this slow you down. You have to remain creative and you have to stay on your beam and you have to realize that whatever was happening before this started, it's going to be a new normal after. And you can have a choice to wait to see what it is and react to it, or to be a person who actually creates what that is. And in order for me to demand that of them, I feel like I have to be in the game, or it makes my fucking sentiment bullshit. You know what I mean? I have to, like, okay, I may not have the right answer, but I'm going to be in there fighting right next to you, and I want you to find it just as much as I want me to find it. But this is our responsibility, because we don't know what's going to happen next, but it is our responsibility to be the ones that make it happen. Because, you know, as far as everybody's concerned, they're just as happy to watch us on the internet play for free. You know, oh, you mean I don't have to drive my car? I don't have to pay any money? You know, whoops, great. You know, and I mean, I get all these guys for free. This is way better, you know. So we need to create that world in a very nuanced way. We can't really, like, replace the human community, but we can point the direction for where it needs to go, much like what people are trying to do out in the streets right now.
Yeah.
They're trying to say, hey, what's been going down is not good. It's not working. We need to find the new way to make this work. And if we're going to call ourselves artists, we need to be the ones that do that and take that responsibility. And being wrong, there's nothing wrong with not being the right guy. What's wrong is not trying at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh, have you been inspired? Are you in a writing mode at the moment, or are you sort of more producing mode?
Writing is always very sporadic for me. I'll have like really prolific weeks where I write just a ton and then not write for a month, you know. So it's kind of just stayed normal for me, the writing. Yeah. I wrote a lot the last 2 weeks for some reason. Part of that was because I knew I needed to, because Eric was coming here, and we all given ourselves some homework on have this many ideas when we get together and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, yeah, nothing like I haven't been extra inspired or anything like that.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's...
You've been writing?
I have been writing, digging out a lot of old tunes and trying to pull stuff together and kind of figure now's a good time to start finishing and things and sketching things out. But as guitarists go, I kind of feel like in this situation, we are kind of like cockroaches. It's like, what? You got to sit around and hibernate and play your instrument. I mean, we kind of did that before, and besides the gigging, this is what we're doing. So, I'm actually picking up the thumb pick. I'm getting into thumb picking a bit more, and it's a new challenge. I feel like a beginner with all that stuff, but it's been fun. It's, something different.
For about a day, I thought, you know what, I'm going to dive into slide again. Brush it up, become where I'm really comfortable on the gig with it. And then after that day, I thought, you know what, I'm just not a slide guitar player.
You're doing all right. You don't need it, mate. You're good.
What's funny is, growing up, being pretty close to Derek Trucks, we'd known each other since we were really young, that I played slide a decent amount before we met.
Oh, wow.
And it pretty much was instant from when I met him, like, yeah, I'm not a slide guitar player. I'm going to stick with what I do best.
That guy's just another beast altogether, what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So,
it was his birthday yesterday.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it. I've got to see that guy live. God, got to see him live. But I'm super excited about this Eric Gales thing you guys are doing. That's amazing. And
thanks. I've got a project that's done now that I'll cock block it because I can't say what it is because it's a secret project. But I want Bruce to hear it so badly because I think it's the best thing I've ever done. And Alex played on a song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's me, Larry Goldings, Calvin, and Lamar. But on one song, Alex plays upright on a ballad, and I think it's really special. But
oh wow, I'd love to hear it, man.
I'm going to send it to you. Yeah.
Now, Alex is he your cousin? What is?
Alex is Josh's cousin. Yeah.
Cousin. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. His dad is my uncle, David Frank.
Yeah. How's your dad going, Joel?
My dad. He's working a lot of these Zoom school board meetings and lessons and things for the school, district and all that.
Yep.
He does a lot of consulting, so he's able to do that over Zoom.
Yeah.
He's good. He's all right.
He must obviously he was a big factor with you growing up and playing. He was there with all the gigs, yeah?
Well, I was, for a guy who didn't play guitar, same with my mom who does, the only musician in my family before, now Alex and, my cousins was my uncle, David. I didn't have any other musician. And he lived in California, and I lived in Florida. So it was like I didn't have any right near me that were playing music. So it was just kind of not a fluke because they bought me the guitar. So obviously they wanted something to happen.
Yeah.
But it was still, a shot in the dark. But absolutely, since they won, they were behind it. Took me to all my lessons, took me to all those gigs once I started gigging, and I had to have somebody with me because it's a bar and
yeah.
Couldn't be there unless I had a parent. All those, very supportive.
Man, Joel must be super proud, mate, just how far you've come. And, it's pretty special when your old man gets, I know my dad kind of did the similar. He was playing in bands, so I would back him up and be the little guy in the background. And then eventually he took the practice amp and I took his amp and I moved to the front and he moved to the back. And it's pretty cool when your old man supports you like that. So,
yeah, both him and my mother, they were very supportive.
Yeah.
And then, and it was like, yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And then even, once I met my wife, if it wasn't for her being who she is and the, supporting, I mean, the first few years out here, if she wasn't working and this person she was, I would have given up because I was doing nothing, making no money, and so I've been fortunate to have a support system basically my whole life that let me, chase down this ridiculous dream, which I'm still chasing down. And who knows if it, we all have to decide what the actual, if we've reached the level of payoff we were hoping for or not. I don't know about that, but as long as I can keep chasing it, I think I'm good.
Has the dreams changed? Like, it's always new dream, right?
It's a recalculation of what's important to you, which dreams you got to let go of now because that dream that's not happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. And which are the new goals? And so I have new goals. Like, maybe I'll win a Grammy as a producer now instead of winning a blues Grammy as an artist. Not that that's not impossible, but Maybe I'll never make the cover of Guitar Player, but at least I'll get in that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Or, maybe whatever. My goals have changed constantly. I never wanted to own a studio or produce records or all that. Now it's really important to me. So, it's a reimagination of,
Now, tell me this: does the missus? Because I know I get this from my missus. Is like, when you're gonna sing a song, or she's always like, "Why you're always noodling, or you just play a song?" Is your missus a guitar lover, or is she like, whatever?
No, she loves music. I don't know if she's just a guitar lover. She loves me, But I will say, the last 4 or 5 years, now that I have the studio, I don't have to hear anybody bellyache when I go. I could do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm not bothering anyone, And I haven't really heard anybody ever say, "Well, I miss you playing in the house." It goes for my son as well.
What's your son's name?
Riley.
Riley. Now, does Riley play? Has he ever showed an interest, or he's like, that's Dad's thing?
His own world and his own things, and that he's into. He's actually, without getting into it crazy, he's had a very successful little thing that he's into. He's an amazing young man, and it was important to me. He's been hearing since he was 4. The first thing out of his mouth when he meets any of his people is, "Are you gonna play guitar like your dad?"
Yeah, right.
It was important to me not to make it like, you have to do this. So no, he found his own thing, and he's exceptional at his things. He's a special little young man.
That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. He's 14, right?
14.
Wow. Yeah, I got an 8-year-old, so it goes so quick. It's
like that.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the the maturity of an 8-year-old.
Now, Bruce, Pammy must be loving having you there playing guitar there all the time.
Oh, man, this is what I call the mandemic. Everybody calls it the pandemic, but as soon as this shit happened, I moved back into the house. I'd been down in L.A. working, and I'd been on the road. She had, the queen of the castle. We only got together to do gigs or occasional anniversary parties or whatever. And then, boom, I'm like, all of a sudden, there's this guy living in her house. You know what I mean? And it's been a real adjustment for her. I've been, as you well know from my poems that I've been putting out. The Mandemic was the big hit. It has at least 20 views on YouTube. And so the Mandemic poem, and it's basically, and then I forced her into the show we do, Grumps TV, twice a week. Now she has to come up with a costume and sing the song and, contribute. It's because she's really the best part of it, and she knows it. And so her and the dog are the best part. So it's kind of like I Love Lucy and Green Acres and Fernwood Tonight just kind of all rolled up. And so we're just trying to work it out. But luckily I've got the bunker. This is a shed out in our backyard. We have kind of like a couple acres. And so out in the back, I've got this shed and I do my thing. And so luckily she hasn't poisoned my food yet or anything. I don't have to sleep with my eyes open, I don't think,
What percentage of your Netflix queue has she allowed you to?
I don't. We don't even share that. I have my own iPad, man. Plus, I'm not. I watch stuff, but I seem to keep really busy just creating stuff. I'm writing poems. I'm playing new songs. Ever since I'm kind of lucky because I was doing the red guitar, for the last 5-10 years, and it was getting more and more a big part of what I wanted to do. So I was going in a solo direction. So just playing the guitar and kind of being the orchestra versus playing in a band, even though I still had my trio and Junkyard Duo and other bands I played with, I was also cultivating a solo thing as both a player and an entertainer. And so when this kind of happened, it's almost like, well, it's just more time to kind of work on that, and when the world opens up, I'll be glad to get back to playing in bands and trios and duos. But right now, I'm kind of just here in this world, and you get lemons, you make lemonade, basically.
Yeah.
Josh, is your missus kind of like, it's a bit of a change for her to have you home all the time? And
Yeah, for sure.
she's like, when are you leave? When is it opening up?
It's not often I'm home for this extended amount of time. So they have their own routine that they've, as far as like his school and her work and the things that they do, and yeah, when I'm home, I'm part of that routine. But normally I come and go a lot. You know?
Right.
So it has changed, the way. But also,
pandemic, baby. That's the pandemic.
I'll be 100% honest too. I mean, we already keep different hours than most families do. Even my son.
Yep.
Because he was working, he acted on a big television show for a while, and now the show ended. So now he's mostly doing school, but he got used to. He had to have a very flexible school schedule, so he was mostly online school. So now that's what we do. So it's always been, if he was working, he does school on set, but when he's home, it didn't bother us if he slept in and he did school on his own time, and went to bed later than most kids would go to bed. Well, the pandemic has made that now where everybody in the house is just up till 3 a.m. every day. You wake up at 12 or 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, just a different, just moved around a bit, right?
Yeah. Where do you keep the bar?
Yeah.
So does that look like any of that's going to open up for him? That world?
Well, nothing. I mean, he's had in this last 4 months, he's had one or two auditions, and they're just by tape.
Yeah.
So we take him out in the studio and video him, and he does his name and whatever they call it, the cue.
The slate, and yep.
The slate, and then he does the audition, and we email it off. So yeah, I'm sure that whole industry, just like ours, is hurting.
Yeah. It's
we're the last to come back. That's, and without saying rightfully so, I understand it.
Yeah, we're my business. We've been working on all the trailers. We do a lot of trailer music and stuff. So we've been working on. We just started working on the new Batman that's coming out next year.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's that whole industry there. Everything's changing because how they're releasing movies now and how they're going to advertise, and it's kind of all up in the air. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because even when they announced actually today, movie theaters can open starting on Friday.
Oh, wow.
AMC's aren't going to even open because the guidelines are so strict. It's like you can only have 25% occupancy. You have to have this much time between showings. You have to have this much extra personnel working to basically herd people in and out, without the people coming in being close to the people going out. You have to have masks on at all times, even in the theater, like in between eating. And so it's like, who's going to be in charge of that with the flashlight? And, so I saw AMC say, we're not sure when we're going to open. We're waiting,
God, that's a big business. That's just sitting there right now.
We gotta wait because, like, let's face it, between Memorial Day and what happened there, and then all these protests, what happened there, we gotta wait a week to see.
It's probably longer. It's probably 2 weeks to a month
of things, or if maybe we just got lucky and because of the summer, normal way viruses kind of go dormant, we dodged a bullet. But right now, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered and will be answered over the next 10 days, I predict.
Yeah.
So,
Bruce, can I ask you a historical Bruce question?
A historical what question?
A historical Bruce question.
Oh, sure, man. You can ask a hysterical Bruce question if you want.
No, I'm curious. What was the first thing that like piqued your ear when you picked up a guitar? Like, what was the first guitar thing that you had to learn?
The first guitar thing that I had to learn. I think the first guitar thing I learned was Louie Louie.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the very first thing when somebody gave me a guitar and wanted to show me something was Louie Louie.
Okay.
What was yours, Josh?
Well, the first thing I learned was Michelle, the Beatles.
Oh, wow.
I remember very clearly playing. Da, 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 da. That's definitely the first thing I ever learned on guitar.
Yeah.
I think mine,
not because it was my choice. Either somebody put the paper in front of me or my dad asked me to learn it, or so, I don't remember exactly. But
Right. Well, I had played piano for like 6 or 7 years before I had a guitar.
oh, okay. I didn't
So,
know.
I mean, I played Chopin and Bach and, various typical kids' repertoire of piano. And then somebody just gave me a guitar and said, well, this is kind of the way it works. And they showed me the bar chord, and you can do Louie Louie just like this. And that's kind of where I started with the guitar.
And then, okay, so then with jazz, what was the first head that you just had to learn? You heard it, and I have to learn that head. Like that.
Oh man, it was called Prince Albert. It's a
Oh, you're a knob.
Okay. It's a what people call a contrafact. It's a melody based on on another famous standard, but the same changes, but it's a different melody.
Yeah.
And it's based on all the things you are.
Okay.
And I kind of really got into jazz. I heard Charlie Parker and got into the school stage band, and that was the chart we played. And I heard this melody, and it was such a great melody. And I just went, well, I mean, I love Bird, and I love the excitement of it, but this was the first one I heard exactly how the changes related to the melody. You know what I mean? Everything made sense.
Gotcha.
It's like, oh, this is how it works. And then from then it's like to today, you can draw a straight line.
Yeah, that's cool. I always wanted to ask you that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, you should check out that song. It was done by recorded by the Jazz Messengers back when Horace Silver and Art Blakey were both in. They were like Art Blakey hadn't taken over the band. They were kind of co-leaders.
Right, so it wasn't Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers.
No, it was the Jazz Messengers.
Yeah.
And Horace Silver and Art Blakey were very young, and there was a record called Live at Cafe Bohemia. There was 2 nights or something.
Oh,
And
that's
Prince Albert is one, and the song is by a guy named Kenny Dorham, who was the trumpet player on that record. And it's just this beautiful melody. It almost you'll hear remnants of Fly Me to the Moon in it. I mean, it's that melodic and that perfect.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, what was your first departure from the blues?
It was definitely Charlie Parker. It was either Now's the Time or Bloom Dito.
Okay.
Some blues, yeah.
Now, did you ever go through a time when you got right into pop and other stuff as well, or were you pretty much hardcore into the blues?
I got into, I will say I was into metal for sure, it was unavoidable.
Yeah.
That's the years I was coming up, and so I listened to that stuff.
Who was your metal god?
Who was my metal gods? I was Steve Vai all the way was my hero.
Yeah. Have you played with Steve?
Never played with Steve.
Yeah.
I've met him a few times, but never played with him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had the Columbia House membership, and I had all the tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think I even paid for them. I was a sucker.
Wow.
But no, I mean, for me, it was the path was blues, rock and roll, but blues-based rock. So Stones, Beatles, but Allman Brothers, ZZ Top.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was like Stax and Motown, soul, R&B, funk. That was the next thing that really got me. And then jazz. And then after jazz, it was country, but mostly because of country guys who played jazz, like the technique and like Danny Gatton and those type of guys, like hearing all that technique added to vocabulary I was already listening to and things like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of my order, I guess.
I just got attacked by a cat. Scotty Anderson, you ever come across?
Yeah. I actually saw him play when I was really young. Blew my mind, because so Danny Gatton, when he passed, he had recently just made a statement about Scotty Anderson in a guitar magazine. One line. He just said, they asked him what he wanted to do in the future, and he said, "Oh, I got this going and this, and I'd really like to record with this guitar player I just met, Scotty Anderson in Ohio. He's really great." So I thought, well, fuck, if Danny Gatton just said you're really great, I need to know who that is, you know. So there was no internet yet, so I don't remember how exactly I found it, but we were on tour, and I want to say Cincinnati is where he's from. And I found out he played like a Holiday Inn gig in Cincinnati 4 nights a week or something, and we went. We went, and I saw that it was like a 7 p.m. gig. And yeah, it was, you know, he plays with finger picks and it's those triple stops and those. It was, I didn't understand what was happening at the time. But yeah, I just knew, wow, that's crazy. You know?
Mind-blowing guitar player. I mean, he's right there with Danny Gatton. He's ridiculous. Yeah. Did you get to meet Danny?
No, I never met Danny. He passed away, I guess it would be like, 92 or something like that? Yeah. 93? And I never got to see him or hear him play. The thing about Danny that got me was, he had the vocabulary. He had technique and facility I still never heard anybody have. But also, I could tell when I was listening to him, he was like a complete open book. He played whatever he heard right that second. No, he didn't care if it was a TV show theme song or the weirdest thing in the world over this chord or whatever. You could tell it was like honest. That's what he heard. He played it, no filter, totally, not afraid to be funny.
Yeah.
And that registered big time with me.
Yeah. So, do you have over the years? I mean, God, man, you're on the road all those years growing up as a kid, and that you must have come across and seen some amazing, obviously some of your heroes, but amazing shows. Any shows that stick out in your mind that was life changing for you?
Yeah, the most life changing show I ever saw was Kenny Garrett with Kenny Kirkland and Brian Blade. I mean, with Tane Watts, Kenny Kirkland, Kenny Garrett, and Nat Reeves. That's the best show I've ever seen in my entire life. I was 12, I think, and I'd never, because it didn't matter to me the style of music, because by that point I liked everything already, even, and I'd never seen like someone so in the moment listening to Kenny blow like that. I was like, well, I guess that's the goal. Like to just keep playing like that. And Kenny at that gig did something incredible. Garrett, I mean, Kirkland was unbelievable, right? But Kenny Garrett, at the end of the gig, he walked off stage. It's a little club, jazz club. And he walked in the back room, and, the rest of the band's shaking hands and talking and blah, blah, blah. And he played for 30 minutes by himself in the back, just screaming, like he had to still get something out. And it made an impression like, whoa, look how much this dude cares. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you have a gig that stands out in your lifetime that...
Wow, so many. I mean, God, we don't have enough time. I remember seeing George Benson and just like not believing that humans could go there. I remember hearing, Finest Newborn. I don't know if you know who that is, a piano player from Memphis. And he was not in good space, mentally. He was kind of gone. But the shit he was playing was like Oscar Peterson and Art Tatum on steroids. And it was swinging in a different way, in a more like bebop-y kind of way. And shit, man, I saw Herbie and, with Wayne and Freddie Hubbard, and Tony Williams and Ron Carter, that VSOP band back in 1970. God, it must have been 78, 76. No, 76. It was 76. It was this bicentennial.
Wow.
I heard that band when they first got started, man.
That's amazing.
Damn.
The kind of shit that you just don't,
See, I mean, like my heroes, I didn't get to see Stevie Ray. I was 10. I didn't get to see Albert King. I saw Albert Collins That was important to me. I saw BB many times, which was important to me on a number of levels. Number one, it was really emotional. Number two, I got to open for him a bunch when I was really young, and I got to see like not just the music side, but he was like incredibly professional and so kind to everybody. That made a big impression on me. I saw Oscar Peterson one time. It was right at the end though, so he, you know, you don't want to say he wasn't Oscar Peterson, but he wasn't. He wasn't. You know, it was great, but it wasn't like.
Was it after the stroke?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was a hard time. That was a hard thing to watch, and I learned a lot from watching him because, you know, one night, I mean, I used to be the all-star guitarist at the Monterey Jazz Festival. One night they had kind of the night was like a night celebrating the piano, and it was all the old guys. It was like Dave Brubeck, who was almost 90 at that point, Hank Jones in his 80s, and Oscar, who was in his 70s, but he'd already had the stroke. And it was an illuminating and painful evening. Dave Brubeck got up and like was totally aware of his shortcomings at that point of being 90. You know what I mean? Played his hits, kept it easy, let the band do the work. You know what I mean? And really superior show, but you know nothing. You know, from that it was the other guys that carried the weight. Hank Jones was just like the elegant statesman that he always was, but he wasn't. He was, you know, he wasn't the Hank Jones of 20 years before that.
Yeah.
And then Oscar got up and it was kind of like he tried to be the Oscar of 40 years before, and he looked so unhappy. I mean, the whole show, it was painful for me because I'd played with him before that, and I just had to leave because it was like, you know, he just couldn't come to grips with this was Oscar, this is Oscar, but he's still trying to play that like Nigerian marketplace, all that stuff that had all that two-handed stuff, and he was basically one-handed because of the stroke. And the band was trying to help, but he looked like a guy that had just gotten like his birthday party got rained out or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was really sad and hurt big time because I just love Oscar Peterson, and what he's done for the world of music is like no one can ever, you know, it's like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
But to see that, you know, I just had to leave. I was like in tears. I just had to go and watch him be so unhappy. But it was also a learning experience. Like the other two guys had come to grips with where they were and knew how to work around it. Mm-hmm. And he hadn't quite, you know, because we as musicians, we don't give up a fight. You know, I'd be that guy. You know, some young kid's going to come up my ass and going to fucking clean my clock, you know, because I'm just older now, you know, and at the same time, I ain't giving up. Fuck that motherfucker. I'm going for it, you know. But there comes a point when you're presenting your music to the world that you have to be realistic with what you can accomplish, and then therefore be strategic about how you deliver it so that it's equally impactful as everything you've ever done. You're just doing the workarounds because that's part of the creative process. It's not just hearing what we hear, but it's also dealing with our shortcomings in order to make it happen.
Well, let me ask you this, because this is a subject that I do think about. And I'm not calling you old, but you've said it a couple of times tonight. You're older than us.
Sure, no.
All I'm saying is that you are older than me. You play fucking unbelievable. And I swear you get better all the time. And I'm obsessed, not obsessed, but worried all the time, because what's funny, starting so young, I've been able to see complete arcs of people I respect who, when I first saw them, were in their prime, and now they're not even close to the musician they were. And they're not that old, you know what I mean? So I do wonder and try to understand what makes the difference to stay so sharp. Like you look at Les Paul and guys like that played relatively great up until the very end. And then other guys who just, you know, go like this.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, do you even worry about that, or do you let it take care of itself because you play so much, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe a lot of it is what you're talking about, playing a lot, and I would be lying to you if I didn't say I don't have a little bit of consternation because of the shutdown as of 3 months ago now, about my gig chops, my stamina, my clarity. And I'm not as old as like less at 90, but I do. I had more stamina on March 12th than most guys 22 have.
I agree 100%.
And I have lots of energy, and so a lot of what I do is to keep that going by playing a lot. And a lot of it is just the fact that I play a lot because I love to play, not because I have to keep it up because I'm afraid of the young bucks who are going to take over. I'm not on some high enough pedestal where I have to worry about being the top dog and having somebody come get my shit. In a way, that's a kind of a luxurious place to be. I just play, and my competition is with me and my body versus the music I hear in my soul that I want to get out. And so I play so much because I really love to do it that I have been able to maintain a higher level of chops for people my age than I watch my other friends, you know what I mean, who just kind of work a gig every now and then, and they get on the bandstand and you can see, it's like, oh, they're having to deal with like just getting oriented. I don't have that problem. I'm there, Yeah. So, but now that this has happened, I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure where that goes, you know what I mean? And, but I do play a lot. And I also do realize that the older I get, and I think you've probably realized that even at your age, you realize you become more strategic. You just do, because it's wisdom. It's not necessarily that you're fighting the odds of gravity where your abilities are going down, but you just realize that conservation of energy and strategy and using the things wisely gets better results. But then as you get older and your skills start to diminish, that element of the wisdom is what makes the difference of a guy like a Dave Brubeck, you know what I mean, who could, into his 90s, still play his hits, still make the music work, and not really suffer from the diminishment of energy and chops that happens.
Yeah. It's always very interesting to me, and I would be lying if I said I don't worry. Like I'm very concerned that I continue to play as much as I do, because I know the thing that drives me more than anything else, absolutely my number one push button is the trying to grow. I'm trying to be better, tomorrow, today. If I didn't have that, then I think I'd go the other way, because I've seen guys it doesn't make sense to me sometimes to see where guys end up.
But really, back to something I said earlier, it's really a human thing, Josh. It's not even a music thing.
Yeah.
The music isn't really in the notes and rhythms. The music's in our intention and our intensity and our imagination. And, at least in the world of jazz, but I believe, you're a jazz musician, and, whether it's blues or jazz, your ability to deal with the situation with the three I's, imagination, intensity, that's, in integrity or intent, if you've got that going, that's going to be the guiding light. You don't need chops for that.
Yeah.
It's great to have them, and we work on keeping them, but you don't need them. It's been proven. God, listen, Albert King, how many times listen to any moment in his career, and you get that.
Yeah, it could put on anything ever, and I feel it.
His ability throughout it,
Have you ever had anything that you reach for and you go, oh, I used to be able to do that? Like something that you felt go away?
Not really,
Okay.
but it's there. I'm sure it's there. I just, you know what I mean?
Remember, Bruce? Remember when you were up in where was it, Denver or something? And because the elevation,
Okay, yeah, okay.
that was different.
I had hand cramps one day, but
Yeah.
that's not really the same thing because that was, you know, I mean, that could have happened to me when I was. And yes, I've got to be more careful as I get older to hydrate, especially in high elevations, you know. But that did happen, and that was very much of a scary moment, you know, because it was the first time it had ever happened where I had to like go, well, these guys aren't working. The guitar ain't going to happen right now, you know.
I've had it 2 times, and it was like trigger finger, and it was from being dehydrated. It was both after super long flights, straight to a sound check, straight to a gig, sweat 2 hours on the gig, and it happened at the end of the gig. And I realized, wow, I haven't eaten or drank in 20 hours, you know.
Right.
Damn.
Right. So that you know, but I mean, in terms of yes, but it's like I can't remember a day where everything I went for I couldn't get. I could get.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, I've never been in that place where everything I wanted came to me.
Gotcha.
You know, so I'm always, I mean, from my point of view, I'm in salvage. You know, I'm just trying to make what work will work. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why you're so good, because you're trying to make. If you hear stuff you can't get, you're trying to
go for what I can. You know, and I try to make the difference between the two. You know, it's like, I mean, and that's what I do during the day when I'm just sitting in this room.
Yeah.
You know, and no one's listening. It's no different.
How are you dealing with that, Josh? Like wanting to get better and striving to improve. Like, where do you focus on your playing to do that? Or
I try to be with practice these days. It's always really targeted for me now. So it's like a very specific thing will pop into my head, and I'll spend the week on that. Now that may mean only 10 minutes a day.
right.
But I'm going to like focus on it for a whole week normally. And that was, when there were gigs happening, then I immediately would take it on the bandstand and do it, and then it's done. It's in my vocabulary, you know, it's a thing, and then it becomes natural. Without the gigs, I feel like, I'm having to like, it's more like the way I practiced as a kid, which is weird the last few months. Because I am still practicing, but I don't feel like I have it, like, it's not in there. I don't know if it's really in there yet. You know what I mean?
That's as a becoming a bedroom player now. That's where I feel like I learn new stuff, and because I don't get to get on stage straight away, that shit disappears pretty quick. You know, if you're not writing it all the time. But as soon as you get on stage and you put it in, like you said, it gets in there. But
yeah, like I gave all these lessons the last few weeks, and so it reminded me of things that I've let go over the years, you know, like, so we were going over melodic minor modes, and it was like, well, I realized I only really use melodic minor and altered scale, you know what I mean? And it was like, oh, wait, I do like Lydian dominant. Let me get back into this shit, you know what I mean? And so I've worked on that the last 4 days after these lessons, you know, because it was a reminder of, wait, I used to like that, you know? Yeah.
it brings it all around, doesn't it? That's cool, man. Well, guys, Josh, I got to thank you so much, man, for jumping in last minute. We really appreciate it. That was super cool. Super, super cool. Always a pleasure to talk with you, and super excited to see what happens next with all of us.
Yeah, me too.
What the fuck's going to happen? We have no idea. But, you know.
Look forward to the day we can all hang out together and
go to Salsa and Beer.
Yeah, man. There you go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, no more baked potato gigs coming up, like streaming. Is that taking off? Is it working?
He hasn't mentioned it again. We'll see. I mean, I think everybody's waiting to get in there and stream now because they all want to play so badly.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. Plus, I think I will start streaming from here at the studio. I did take some of the time during this quarantine to it was always in my plans to put cameras all around the studio and get that together, mostly to offer it to people who were here and I was producing their record, like, hey, I can video the entire sessions. You can have it, take it home. But now I've got it set where I could stream on a pretty high level, and I've got cameras all over the place. So I'm investigating how I want to proceed with that.
Yeah. How's Justin and Randy doing at Baked Potato?
Well, I mean, they were very nervous, to be honest, about what's going to happen. The streaming was a necessity because, I don't think they own the building. I think they still have a lease. So it's, how long can you just hold on to something that brings in no income, But I think they can, I guess, as of now, the last guideline change, technically they can have 32 people in there if they wanted to.
Oh, really?
So, they asked me that night. It was the first night it was allowed. And they were like, would you care if we said we were open? And I polled the guys, and I said, do you want 32 people in the club? They said they're allowed to open. And both guys were like, nope, let's just stream. So I don't know exactly how they're going to ease back into it.
Yeah.
And again, like I said before, these next week or two is going to be a real telltale into what's going to happen over the summer. Because if we kind of slide through this whole thing and there's no big spike, then we can kind of surmise that at least for the summertime until flu season is, we've got a little respite here.
Yep. Exactly.
And I don't think anybody wants to make a guess until we just see the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stay safe, guys. We're still knee deep in this shit.
Right.
So. But anyway, Josh, absolute pleasure, man.
Great to see you, man.
Say g'day to your dad for us, and we'll catch you real soon. And Bruce, always, the pleasure's all yours.
Yeah, well, my hands are visible.
All right, guys, thank you so much.
All right, see you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.